Over the past month or so, I had been experimenting on Dreamlight Valley. I was trying to find new ways to open up new doors to new worlds, sooner rather than later, and some of these tests did prove successful, as I was able to find R2-D2 and bring him back to Dreamlight Valley, the first Star Wars themed character on the island. But little did I know, this opening up of new doorways only led to further problems. Another day, I discovered a rabbit hole. It had opened up in the plaza, and from it ran a white rabbit. The rabbit ran away and disappeared behind one of the doors in the Disney castle. This in turn opened up a new door to a new world. I stepped inside and braced myself for whatever was to come. As expected, I found myself in Wonderland. And it didn't take me long to find Alice, who was lost and confused. I promised to help her escape Wonderland and bring her back to Dreamlight Valley. Along the way, the Cheshire Cat appeared. He didn't make things easier for me. But I had turned my back for just a second, and it only took a few seconds before Alice was gone again. I followed the moan rafts, and eventually I wound up in the Queen of Hearts Gardens. Thankfully for me, the Queen of Hearts was nowhere around that day, but her playing card guards were all over the place, and they didn't make it easier for me. Eventually, I came across an abandoned tea party, where Alice was shrunken down to a small size. I couldn't just leave her like this, so, using my magic skills, I was able to restore her to her normal size, and helped her escape the Queen of Hearts castle, and Wonderland. She was safe, and back in Dreamlight Valley where she belongs. Now being one of the younger residents of Dreamlight Valley, Alice made herself at home, accidentally getting herself into mischief. With her and Vanellope accidentally ruining one of Merlin's books, discovering a poem meant for her, and eventually, a very strange incident happened. Alice began behaving badly. It was felt by both good and evil residents of the valley. After arriving at her house, I discovered something very strange. Alice was split in two. Somehow, she had split her good half from her bad half. She couldn't function normally with her two selves out causing chaos or not even caring. So, with Merlin and the Magic Council's help, we were able to bring the two Alices back together, forming just one equally good and equally bad Alice. After this incident, Alice wanted to cheer everyone up with some good old Wonderland traditions, one of them being an unbirthday party for everyone on Dreamlight Valley. Having everyone celebrate a birthday on the same day was a really pleasant surprise. But this wouldn't be the last trace of Wonderland on Dreamlight Valley. Traces of Wonderland began spreading into Dreamlight Valley. Moan rafts, Wonderland flowers, and it was becoming more and more obvious that the Cheshire Cat had followed us back through the door and was now causing chaos in Dreamlight Valley. Cheshire Cat certainly wasn't easy to miss. His image was appearing everywhere, in the form of fish, vandalism in Scrooge McDuck's store, pink paw prints across the floors, walls, and ceilings, and creepiest of all, Cheshire Cat's face appearing in paintings around the valley. After days of searching, Eventually, Cheshire Cat appeared to me himself. Turns out he had already made a home for himself, on a tree next to the Wonderland flowers. Cheshire Cat was certainly making his presence known. He was still causing chaos, swapping the furniture of different villagers, having nonsense parties with completely random decorations. But despite all that, Cheshire actually contributed something to the valley. He came up with the uncrafting table, a place where I can deconstruct items to their core materials, allowing me to recycle them. With a newfound purpose, Cheshire stopped his chaotic ways. However, this didn't stop him from confusing folks from now on. With Wonderland taken care of, about a week later, the Forgotten had come up to me and said that something strange was going on in Skull Rock. Skull Rock had always been a prominent feature on Dreamlight Valley, just off the beach. But only now, thanks to a mysterious red feather, could we now go inside Skull Rock and see what was going on. But before we went inside, the Forgotten had a very big announcement. He decided that he was no longer going to be called the Forgotten and wanted a proper name. I decided to help him out, making an anagram of my original name. So from now on, the Forgotten would be known as Ledian. Ledian and I went into Skull Rock, finding a gigantic pirate ship waiting for us. Ledian went on ahead, where we discovered a very strange shaped shadow. The shadow was very clearly alive, but without a physical form to anchor itself. By redirecting the lights, we were able to help the shadow out, and to our not surprise, we discovered that it was in fact Peter Pan. Peter had been trapped in Skull Rock this whole time, and to make matters worse, he didn't exactly trust us because we were both grown-ups. I convinced Peter that we were children at heart, and sure enough, we brought him out of Skull Rock and back into Dreamlight Valley. Even though Peter was back, he still had quite a few problems. For one, he and his shadow were still separated, and ever since he left Skull Rock, it couldn't be found, until Minnie discovered it in her house. After containing the shadow, and thanks to Sally's help, she was able to sew it back on, reuniting Peter with his shadow. Peter eventually got to sample some of the food that we serve here, but he got a bit too excited and ended up starting a few food fights. Donald and Scar were not happy with him. After confronting him about this, it just became clear that Peter was alone. Without the Lost Boys, he didn't really have anyone to play with. So me and him hosted Lost Boy auditions in order to form a new group of Lost Boys with the more goofy and younger characters of the valley. We had some interesting candidates, but Peter was quite selective with his group. With tons of new friends to play with, Peter and the rest of the valley decided to organize a game of pirates, where many of the villagers pretended to be a pirate crew, while Peter and his group of Lost Boys discovered their hidden treasure. And Ledian himself also got involved, becoming the pirate captain. We of course helped Peter come out on top, and sure enough, they won the game and got their treasure. With both Wonderland and Neverland secured, Dreamlight Valley was safe for another day. But we mustn't keep our hopes high for long, as the storybook Vale will be calling for us again very, very soon.